Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Like I just mentioned before we start recording, this is a potential replacement for Atlas for our document management system, right? So we'll store documents in Employ Florida rather than using Atlas. And really, this training is just going to be a review of that functionality and to kind of get your all's input on the feasibility of using this and any questions you may have regarding it. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So I'm going to log in. And I'm going to assist an individual. I've already kind of looked at someone here. Go Golston. All right, so you go to assist. I'm sure everyone's done this at some point in time. So you assist an individual, then you've got all your kind of different sections here, right? Under your staff profiles, you have documents, right? So you can select documents, take you to that section. And then here you have the documents that have, I just uploaded these today just as samples. And you can see the document name, I tagged it, right? And then you have a category and the date, right? And then from there you can view it, right? You can edit it. You can review it, which kind of brings it up into like a kind of like a scan mode where you can kind of view like multiple pages at a time and that sort of thing. And then you can download it. So if we ever need to download it for auditing purposes or something like that, we could. Obviously, the delete function, that would be limited to select staff. We don't want everybody to have the ability to delete documents, right? Because this would be our sole location for documents if we choose to go this route. Adding a document is pretty simple. We do have some options here. If we wanted to get scanners, we could scan docs directly into Employ Florida. I think you would have to have, we have to work out how we'd want to do that, but maybe select staff have a scanner and they're responsible for scanning all the documents in. I don't think we want to purchase scanners for every single staff person. And that's really how it works too. It's scanners connected to a PC, not like we do with kind of scanning documents from a copier. That you would just use you would scan it and then use the add document function. So I think we're going to use the add document, although I'm open to the scan if we want to. So let's just kind of walk through that. Do add a document. That's taken so long. There we go. Great. So I've got, this first section is a document association. It's going to check the open applications and closed applications really for this individual, right? So if I was to select Wagner Pizer here, right, and then look at the application, this person had an application on 12/17/2017 and 1/13/2017, right? So depending on what, obviously it would be a current application, right? More than likely we would be adding to current, or there would be no application, right? Like if it's the very beginning, we haven't enrolled the person, you would leave this blank, right? And then once the application is completed, you could go back in and assign it to an application. There's a bunch of default verification items, right? You've got all these different WP verification stuff, right? I don't know how useful that is, except for specific verification things. If you're not verifying any one of these things, I would leave this field blank. The really important part here is the document description, right? It's got a bunch of kind of the standard verification documents that we have, right? Right. alien registration cards, birth certificates, right? Release of information, right? Kind of common things that are used for, of documents that are stored. But the real key here, I think, is the document tags, where we can really assign a tag to a specific type of document, right? And I have Brandon really going through what's in Atlas and looking at all the cues we use and all the kind of drop downs we have in Atlas and matching them up either to this or creating a new one that would have a document tag.
So if we wanted to do application eligibility, like our packet number 1,
Yep.
no issues. And is there a size limitation that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of, no. Can test that. I imagine it's pretty. Imagine it's pretty big. I'll get the answer to that, but I'm pretty sure anything that we would throw at EF for this, it would need it. But I'll verify that. Don, it's a good question. So this user accessible, if we wanted users to be able to access these documents, we could. I don't really see necessarily a point to that. They're providing us with the documents. We could give them access if we wanted to, but I don't really think anyone would use it, and it may just create more issues than not. The date that you've received it, if it's left blank, obviously today's date will be used. And then if it's a document that expires, right, like a driver's license, you could check that box and put the expiration date, and be able to essentially pull reports on what documents are expiring, in a certain time frame. The supported file formats. This is, I think, important. It's a wide range, right? You've got PDFs, Word docs, web pages, right? Older versions of Word docs, XML stuff, and then you've got all your images, all your image types, right? GIFs, TIFFs, bitmaps, JPEGs, a lot of here, and even audio recordings, spreadsheets, right? So all of your Excel documents could be uploaded, no problem. And then really all the text files, right? And even videos. Okay, so that's quite an extensive list. We shouldn't really have any issues with the file types being supported in this. Okay, select a file. We've got sample. Let's see, I'll just upload this sample doc 3. It's got that green little icon there, so that means we're good. You could remove it here if you wanted to add it again, and you can select multiple files at once, right? So if I wanted to do another one that was related to this, right, I could do that. So if you have several documents that you want to upload at once, you can do it here. You just have to select them one by one. So you go select file, select it, shows up, do the next one. Okay. Then you save it. Oops. Please correct the following error. Let's see. You have to have a document tag. So let's just call this intake packet. But check that too. And then save it. This was a lot faster this morning. I don't know what's going on with EF, but it was a lot faster this morning when I was testing it. Okay, there we go. So I've uploaded the documents. Here you can see it. Let's see, 210, right? Sample doc, WP intake packet number 2 and number 1. Right, and I can view this document. Right. I could review it. right? Which if there were multiple pages here, you would see these pages on the thumbnail, right? So you can kind of, you know what a form looks like, right? So you could kind of, if you really were looking for a specific form, I would use this review functionality to go through the thumbnails, find your doc, and then you have it there, and then you can download that document. Okay, and you've got you can zoom in. Go ahead.
Look if you had 50 documents in there for the welfare transition customer.
If there were 50 pages, yeah, I mean, you would have 50 thumbnails here that you would scroll through.
And does it show it sequentially, I'm assuming, oldest?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me go back to, there's one that has a different, it has more than one pages. I think it's this one. Yeah. So here's one with multiple pages, right? I can go to page 3. Right, go to page 2. And then you can, if it's like eligibility stuff, right? You want to zoom in. Things that are tough to read, you could do that. Rotate it if you need to, right?
So labeling is definitely going to be of importance.
Labeling is crucial, yep. And that's why I have Brandon working on that table that will show you, this is what we used in Atlas and what are we going to name it in Employ Florida, and really following that table to a T would be important, right? Because you're going to want to be able to find your documents, and the only way to find them is to have them correctly labeled. Okay, when I select that, when I'm doing review, it's got, this information, the document name. This is stuff that we filled out earlier. You can view a document history, right? So if things get modified over time, you could view the document history, and it will show you all the history, right? So if someone edits it, right, it's gonna show the edit, or and in this case, I just inserted it, right? So I've added it, and then any activity that came after this would show up related to this document. So let's go back to this. Deleting it, right? It's pretty basic. You just hit delete, and it makes you confirm it, and then it's gone. There is kind of some history, right? It does store that. This does, when you hit delete, it does create a log in the data warehouse, right? So if we had somebody delete a file that we knew was there, we could backtrack and find out who that was and when. I think would be useful, but like I said, we want to limit, at least in the very beginning, who has the ability to delete. So that's the functionality from for the document management portion. Does anybody have any concerns or thoughts on using this?
Chad, when will this go into effect that they should transition from Atlas to Employ Florida?
Good question. We don't know yet. And it's really dependent on the decisions we make with Atlas, right? But if that were to happen, it would be around towards the end of this program year or the very beginning of next program year. So sometime in June, July.
Okay, thank you.
We would have a full staff training on this too, prior to that happening too. This meeting is just to review the functionality that's available to us.
Chad, and so if you can scroll back down, what you showed us was really, from what I saw, just mainly like Wagner Pizer. Okay, there's the WIOA.
Yep. So let me let's add a document.
Because I was just curious about, like, for example, if they may have uploaded a document and it either it's expired or does not work or whatever the case may be, or they recently moved and we wanted to do an applicant statement.
Yeah,
How
so-
would we replace that?
Yeah. So the applicant statement, you would just do your normal applicant statement, right? And then I don't think there's going to be, well, there's applicant address verification.
Okay.
But we would probably have, I don't think there's,
Well, technically the application can be an applicant statement, so.
And we can free text the actual document
yeah,
under whatever category we're going to group thing.
yeah, I would really, the document tag, there would probably be a specific document tag for that one, where we would just type that tag and then upload that applicant statement. Makes sense, Jen?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but you've got your, when you select WIOA up here, you've got your WIOA, all the default verifications or
Mhm.
stamp, we'll say,
Okay.
right? And then you've got your document descriptions, which I don't believe are WIOA exclusive.
Mhm. If you
Yeah.
go back.
Notice
ahead.
that none of these fields are required except for
I
this,
was just gonna say.
except for this document tag section. So we could decide not to tag anything and just have really good, or not to use any of these other fields and just use the tags and just have really comprehensive tagging that would meet our needs. But that's up to all of us to decide, get a consensus on.
We would need a list because staff will get very creative if we don't
Yep.
have
Yep,
something.
and yeah, and I know that, and that's what Brandon's working on. So it'll be
Okay.
a long table of all the document types that we could
Documentation.
possibly upload into Employ Florida and what that tag would be for those.
Can you go back up one more time, Chad? Just on
Sure.
that drop down, does that cover like our barrier documentation as well?
Barriers are there somewhere.
Free and reduced lunch.
There was one for local barrier there, and I saw most of the WIOA youth barriers identified.
Okay,
But I
thank you.
guess if we're gonna be using the extensive tagging, then we wouldn't
Necessarily
really
need.
be requiring that.
So
Mm.
then the other question is, if we use the tag as far as a data validation standpoint goes, I guess whatever we put in the tag, would you all be able to run reports off of that versus the drop down that's in that list if we needed it?
Yeah, and we can actually look at that right now. I could pull reports for it, but also you could do it with any Employ Florida, right? You go to your documentation reports, right? This is an individual. Oops, I went to the wrong thing. Document management. It might be tied to enrollment, but let's see. Grant. Yeah, I mean, this is where I got to figure out. I haven't looked at the reporting aspect of this, but I could probably, we can definitely pull it from the back end, and I'm sure there's a way to pull it from the front end.
Do you know if it groups by that program, that higher level, where it's alpha or it's data upload? I haven't seen enough of it to know.
Yeah,
Ease of navigation. I'm monitoring. I want to go back 5 months, and I want to see, driver's license, social security card, just to give us. So to me, the labels are definitely going to become important if they impact how we look at stuff, how we sift through it. And you're already showing us how the report would identify it.
yeah. I've got to get more answers on the reporting other than letting you know that we could, from the front end, we could definitely pull back end stuff and kind of customize it however you want, right?
And you're in production.
Yeah, I'm in production. I'm going to delete these after we're done. Yeah, it was, the training site was way too slow today. So I would just figured I'd use live.
Yeah, I just wonder if we should go through the exercise of taking one wheel a case and just seeing how we would upload it.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we can do. I mean, it's we can go through that exercise, but it's going to be pretty basic, right? I mean, we would just upload those documentations just like I reviewed, right? Same
Yeah.
process of review. Yeah.
I always liked 2 packets basically for the enrollment.
Yep. So here's the tags, and it does this general category. I don't the categories from the initial upload. I couldn't find where you would update that, so it kind of just throws everything into general.
Yeah, that always comes out as general.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone see any issues with using this?
No.
Seems pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy as long as we nail down how we're tagging everything and train staff. I think it's gonna work pretty well. Not frontline. You guys might know more than me. I think it'll. I see a lot of benefit to it, but just want to make sure you guys are okay with it as well.
And I also see the similarity in the document tags to the Atlas document description. So it seems like that's pretty similar.
Yeah, it looks like most of the elements in our data validation were pulled from this anyway. So I don't think it'd be any issue with, transitioning into this system. Chad, I don't know what the ETA is going to be for this rollout. But I don't see it being difficult to train staff on.
Mm-hmm.
The process is very similar to what we're already doing in Atlas, so it should roll out like a piece of cake.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think it will too. The other thing you can filter, right? So if you've got all your documents and you want to filter by program, right? You can do that. And if you have, if you've attached it to an application, right? So it would be the most recent application, you would then be able to view all the recent stuff, right? So it's just that one app, right, for WIOA. So if you're trying to filter by program and by dates, that's a good way to do it.
Chad, question.
Yep.
Do you always have to go to the document tab to add a document, or is there the opportunity to add a document throughout different areas of the profile?
Good question. I think it's just here. We can quickly look.
I've
I
seen
think
where
I
you can
saw
upload
something.
documents from case notes.
Let me look at the program section here. What are you thinking, April? Like in the application here?
Yeah, I think I saw something, throughout my travels where if we were somewhere where we were entering employer or customer information and we had to upload a copy of their identification,
Yeah,
there
I
was a
got you.
place where
So
we could
like
add it
we
there.
have verification of a document type, right?
Mhm.
Let me see here.
Under employment.
Let's go to.
And we're not proposing uploading individually a driver's license, a DD 214, yada, yada, yada. We're still going to do our enrollment packets.
I would do it as an enrollment packet. Just keep it simple.
Yeah. And prescribed order that everybody's used to.
Yep. Yep. And if everyone's doing the review of the packet to make sure everything's there, I mean, I think that's sufficient. So you have your upload, and let's see here. Yep. So it is, you can, so as you're doing the WIOA app, right, you can, this is for employment status, right? So if I wanted to do, right, I would tag it here. You've got this, you can do it from inside apps, and it'll go to that document section.
I wonder if it's on the last page of the application. But again, we can play with this later, but
You could upload it from every section, and then when you go to the document section, it's gonna show.
It'll all show up
Loaded
there.
it 10 times, it's gonna show 10 times.
Right. So if we were only going to do it as a packet, then that would be something we would need to train staff that they wouldn't put it in these individual areas. They would wait till the end and just upload it as a packet.
yeah.
Because
Well,
if
yeah.
someone saw the opportunity to upload it, they might do it that way.
Yeah, we want to be clear on that. I mean, people don't use this currently. We just do the verify and have the document stored in Atlas. But yeah, we would say don't use it here. Just upload it as a packet once you've completed the application. That's how I would do it.
Okay, that's
But it is available there. Yeah. Any other comments or concerns about this? I'm hoping that staff would like the reduction in the number of systems they're having to use. You know, they're comfortable with EF. They can use, you know, EF for this that they were previously using Atlas for. So staying all in one system and not having, you know, multiple pages up and kind of going back and forth between systems. There's nothing else. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. As far as how we're the direction that we're going in with virtual services, was the component to have documents uploaded still going to be a factor in the virtual service platform via Career Edge, or would that now be taking place in EF if we decide to go this direction?
Yep. So, good question. I don't think that's been fully flushed out yet. I'm of the opinion that for virtual services only, that it would reside in Career Edge, but for everything else, it would be.
And that's as long as Career Edge is retained, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And I mean, really, I would.
Yeah,
Just with the issues we've had with Career Edge, Jen, I would really prefer that we use Employ Florida.
Yeah.
And we would keep Atlas, right? CTS has to provide us access to the old database or the current database so that we would go back to Atlas to look something up, and post we would go to EF.
Yeah, so yeah, how that's going to work is you're not going to, I mean, Brandon's had these conversations with CTS, and really what it for any historical view, they're going to provide us with basically all the documents and a Excel spreadsheet with lookup tables for where those particular files are. So we would probably train a handful of people on how to do that.
Remember,
It's not going to be as simple as it is in Atlas now. Like if we move away from Atlas, we aren't going to have access to the Atlas system. We'll still have access to the documents that were in there. It's just the way you're going to access them is going to be different than what we do currently.
isn't that server ours? And we would just need an interface in order to be able to access.
Right, and that interface would be that spreadsheet that's telling you. You can search essentially that spreadsheet by all your kind of identifying criteria, and then it's going to provide you with where that what the file is on our server for it.
So next year's audit would be a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I mean the other option is taking all of our active cases and putting them into employee.
Oh, okay, that's a big challenge. So, Chad, I just want to, because now that being brought to the table about us not having everyone not having access to be able to pull information out of Atlas, what would that process be like from the case management staff that are processing closures? Would it be like one person in the department that would have access to be able to pull and retrieve that documentation, and then we'd be uploading all of the final documentation in the Employ Florida? I just see that process bottlenecking in a few places. If that's how we elect to move forward.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll say this: it's that process hasn't been determined. It's going to be a little bit more involved than what we do for Atlas currently, right? Everyone knows Atlas is pretty easy to use. The spreadsheet's going to be a little bit more difficult. There's going to be kind of two steps. You look up the record and then you get the file location. So, but to avoid any bottlenecks, I mean, we want to train as many people on it as possible, I guess.
When we first go live, we're of course going to need to go back and look at it probably almost daily. What did I just pay for in classes? What's
right?
That's
all your career plan updates are going to be housed there. So anytime an ex-service codes change and a career plan is updated with the customer, that could be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to suggestions on how you want to handle that. It could be, do we want to upload specific documents from a certain criteria of cases into?
Any discussion or potential that we have a better interface tool than an Excel spreadsheet?
No, we can have those discussions. It's the timing of it isn't going to be the best because I mean it takes time to develop that interface. We can talk to. I mean, CTS isn't. It's really up to them on how they provide us with basically our documents and the ability to look up where each individual participant's documents are, but the interface portion.
And we've looked at their contract, right, to ensure we're holding them totally accountable to what they've contracted.
I'm assuming we are. They're aware that those documents are our documents,
Yeah, and then there's always the option there. Also, with us transitioning into this system, I see an opportunity for us to fully integrate our services into Employ Florida, because there are a lot of things that we're handling on paper that, from what I've seen, Employ Florida has the capability, like the career plans, using that feature, NEF. So maybe that's something we can bring back to the table in programs and see how we want to move forward.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of that. Anything else, guys? No? Well, thanks for
I'm sure we'll
attending.
have more questions.
Yeah, if you have questions, go ahead and email them to me. how we proceed is definitely, how we transition is going to be important. So I'll try to get answers for you on that.
Thank you, Chad.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Appreciate your time. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.